Abandoned at 11, I was adopted by a childless family friend. Years later, I inherited my grandma's property, but when my biological parents returned, I couldn't forgive the past and accept them. Hello, Reddit I Plus here. When I was 11 years old, my parents abandoned me at a gas station. It was a hot July afternoon, and I remember stepping out of our rusty old sedan to grab a snack. When I came back outside, the car was gone. At first, I thought it was a mistake. Maybe they had moved the car to a different pump, but as minutes turned to hours, it became painfully clear they weren't coming back. The gas station clerk, an older man with a kind face, let me stay inside as the sky darkened. I remember the way my hands trembled as I clutched a half-melted chocolate bar, too stunned to even cry. The police were eventually called, and while they tried to locate my family, a woman I barely knew walked through the door, Mrs. Callahan. She was my friend Jamie's mother, a woman who had always been warm, but distant at school events. That night, she became the closest thing I had to a guardian angel. Mrs. Callahan took me in. I later learned she and her husband had tried for years to have children, but had never been able to. I was supposed to be a temporary guest until the authorities sorted things out, but my biological parents never came looking. Days turned into weeks, weeks into months. Eventually, the state declared them unfit and severed their parental rights. That's how I became the son of the woman who chose me when no one else would. Mrs. Callahan, or Mom, as I came to call her, raised me with more love than I had ever known. She cheered at my soccer games, helped me with my science projects, and made sure I never felt like I was a burden. She taught me that family wasn't just about blood, it was about who showed up for you when you needed them the most. Years passed, and when my biological grandmother passed away, I was shocked to learn that she had left me her estate. I hadn't seen her in years, but apparently she had kept tabs on me, feeling guilt over what my parents had done. The inheritance wasn't just money, it was a beautiful old country house, the same one where my mother had grown up. I was 25 at the time, finally standing on my own 2 feet, and for the first time, I felt like I had a tangible connection to my past. That's when my biological parents reappeared. It started with a letter, then a phone call. Then they showed up at my door one afternoon, all smiles and nervous laughter, acting as if the last 14 years had never happened. My father clapped me on the back like an old friend. My mother wiped fake tears from her eyes, saying how much she had missed me. They told me they had fallen on hard times, that they regretted what they had done, and, most suspiciously, that they were happy to hear about my recent good fortune. I didn't owe them anything. Not my time, not my forgiveness, and certainly not a place in my life. But still, something in me wavered. I had spent years wondering why they left me, wondering if I had done something wrong. Now, they stood before me, treating me like a long-lost son they could suddenly claim. Mrs. Callahan, ever wise, saw through them immediately. "You don't have to give them anything, sweetheart," she told me later that night as we sat on the porch of my new home. "Not your money, not your time, and not your heart." It took me a while to sort through my emotions. A part of me wanted to scream at them, to demand answers. Another part of me wanted to walk away and never look back. In the end, I met with them one last time, not out of obligation, but to find closure. "You didn't want me when I was a scared, hungry kid at a gas station," I told them, my voice steady. "So you don't get me now." Their faces fell, but I didn't stay to watch them beg or make excuses. I had a real mother waiting for me at home, the woman who had given me everything, not because she had to, but because she wanted to. That was the day I chose my real family, the one that had chosen me first.